Hi everyone, let's catch up on Bitcoin. So where we left it last time, I said that I presented this fractal and I said that I was expecting a top between 6th to 8th of December. That was my main fractal. And I said, mind you, I expect dumping on the 8th of December. In Chinese astrology, that was expected to be a dump day. So I don't remember on what day I posted the video, but I also said during the video, keep an eye on my tweets, because if I come up with something new, I will not necessarily have the time to record another video. So a few days later, after I posted my video, I presented the backtesting results for 8th of December, which is for the Mars square Saturn aspect, and those gave us 87% historical probability of a green closure, and that is why I changed my bias for the 8th, right? So that aspect happened exactly at 0 hours 15 minutes on the 9th, but I count that towards the 8th because that's when the market is closing. That's what it matters. So it gave us 80%, 87% probability of closing on green. And I also here argued, somebody messaged me, he said that BT Lit has forecasted that the market will be heading down all the way until the 21st of December. And then I said, no, that cannot be the case because look what I got here. I got Mars square Saturn backtesting results, and they're forecasting that 9th of December will be closing on green. I have written here 9th of December, but as I said, that aspect is forecasting 8th of December. Anyway, both of these days closed on green, so that aspect is explaining to you why we got the last couple of days high, the 8th and the 9th, because of that aspect. That is a very big cycle, the Mars Saturn square. It's a massive event and clearly very influential, very high historical probability, and also a pretty good historical probability that the trend after continues up with 65% probability, right? That's what has happened 65% of the time. So because this is such a big cycle, now clearly this fractal got invalidated. This fractal here, 1 second. Clearly this got invalidated now, right? We did not make a top here on these dates. Why didn't we make the top? Because we got Moon in Gemini. The Moon in Gemini shitted the bed here. The Moon in Gemini dumped after the 3rd. What really happened here after this Moon in Gemini dumping here? That's why this fractal got invalidated, but so be it. That is very normal. Look, this fractal moved us. It gave us the bottom here. That is the most important value of this fractal. So from this date here, from 8th of November, it was accurate for the bottom. It nailed the bottom. Then it nailed here, this curve. It nailed the second bottom. It nailed the lower high, the higher low on the 1st of December. And it was accurate all the way. It nailed the pumps as well. So that is a good performance of this fractal. You know, and some people, I really dislike when people get disappointed that the fractal has stopped being valid and they start then perceiving it as inaccurate. What the fuck do they expect? Like, do you expect that this fractal will be valid for a year or for 3 months? This gave a very good value. It nailed 3 bottoms. This big bottom, the higher low on the 1st of December, and the higher low, and the pumps on 3rd of December. That's it. It did quite well. And that's how it goes with the fractals. My job is to find another fractal after that. Okay, so I'm gonna now close this screen so we don't confuse it anymore. Okay, so what happens after that? So before I move to the next fractals, I will cover the cycles one at a time, as I usually do. So these pumps today, first of all, do you understand where they're coming from? They came from moon trine sun. One of the reasons, when we have moon trine sun, we always have green days. Very rarely in November, actually, I saw for the first time that aspect delivering a red candle. Majority of the time it is green. So let me find you that tweet. Right. So after that tweet, the next tweet that I posted was about the aspect today. So I made a very clear forecast for the 9th of December. That happened on, I think, the day before. So I forecasted the 9th of December will be closing on green, and I presented here a very important aspect. And I said, observe the executive degrees. The secret to this aspect was that it makes 28 degrees, and this is the most bullish degree in the zodiac. All of those millionaires, they billionaires, they tend to have at least one planet on an executive degree, very high up. It's very bullish degree, right? So I said here, monitor the observe the executive degrees, and I called this term, by the way. Nobody else in astrology has used this term, the executive degrees. Number 8 is the number of the executive and the boss, and it's a really great degree to have in the chart. So from this aspect has happened only once before, and the previous time it was bearish, it closed on red, and it was followed by 6 red days. That still can happen, by the way, but here I just focused on the daily closure. Because of these executive degrees, my forecast was actually bullish for the 9th of December. And so that is my point, that when something gets invalidated, I'm still active on Twitter. So just relocate to Twitter and monitor what I'm saying, because I don't always have the time to provide an update on YouTube. Right, so we're monitoring this aspect now. Black Moon Lilith opposition Uranus. It will be worth taking a fractal from it. For now, just remember that that aspect was followed by 6 days of dumping. Just keep that in mind. Okay. So we come back now and we check the cycles where we are. The first cycle is the eclipse cycle. In the previous video I said that we're aiming for 6th of December is exactly on the same level as 17th of December, and this time it didn't manifest. It was an unremarkable day, the 6th of December. Right? In the last video I also pointed out that there is another pivot low, which is the 5th of December. That is quite strong, and I actually tweeted that as well. Let me see, here it is. Remember, I posted that cycle to you, that 5th of December has produced a bottom. The 5th of December was expected to produce a bottom, and I showed you that previously that same cycle is known to produce bottoms. Look at that, 30th of December 2025, 4 bottom, 5th of July 2024 bottom. This tends to be a swing bottom date. However, in June, the bottom was expected to be on the 26th of June, and it didn't do it on 26th of June. It did it 4 days earlier. It did it on 22nd of June. That it was still a swing bottom, right? So this calculation here that I do is a swing bottom calculations. And look what it did on the 5th of December. Again, it moved it 4 days earlier. It moved that higher low on the 1st of December 2025 instead of acknowledging it exactly on the date. So in 2025, on both occasions now, this calculation, the bottom happens 4 days before the calculation. But I'm not changing the calculation. The calculation remains the same because this calculation gave me the exact pivot lows in 2024. The point is that now we're ticking a box that this low has been done, and we expect from now on to go higher. This low is a swing low. It is a known swing low, and we expect that we will be going higher from now, and we will be making higher lows whenever we dump. I'm not saying that it's all up from here, but what I'm saying is whenever we dump, we're expecting to make higher lows to the 1st of December. Let's have a look at it again, where 1st of December is. 1st of December was quite low. Whoa, that is 86k. So we should be making higher lows than the 1st of December closure from now on, according to this calculation. Right. I wish this was just one calculation and we call it a day, but unfortunately it doesn't work like that. We got several cycles and we never know in advance which one will be the strongest cycle. Moving on now. So that got invalidated. It didn't manifest as a top. That was the equivalent to the 17th of December, but that's because the 6th of December, it was quite close to 5th of December that I extracted that it is a swing bottom date. Okay, and that 1st of December manifested as a higher low, so that was quite a prominent date. Okay, so now we need to draw a horizontal line and see what is happening next. What are the next pivots on this on the eclipse cycle? And the next pivots on the eclipse cycle is a top on the 19th of January. Let's see if they made the pivot lows at the right time. Okay, here it is. So the pivot low, using that same calculation, do you remember it a few minutes ago that I showed it to you, a couple of minutes ago? Oh, no, that was, no, that was 2023. No, it's not the right one. How is it that January was a top? 19th of January 2024. Was that a top really? I think I have made a mistake. Just a quick check, please. 19th of January was a local top, right? So let's have a look. 15th of February. No, it wasn't. Yeah, I knew that was a mistake. I have highlighted that date by mistake. It was not really a pivot, so it was not in a pivot. I need to really reduce that size. Sorry about that, but sometimes it happens. Okay, so let's see when is the next pivot from now. Okay, so we have a pivot low here on 30th of December 2024. If we remember, that was a pivot low. So we need to highlight the potential for that, the potential for another pivot low on the 19th of December. Okay, previously we're looking also at other pivots that we have made. So that was the 22nd of June. Pivot low is coming here. So suddenly we're entering a territory of pivot lows, right? So don't get confused, and we're just taking one cycle at a time. I said that as far as that calculation is done, that should be a pivot low. But we can see here that previous cycles are also highlighting various historical pivot lows in this section that we're about to visit in the next couple of weeks. So it is my job to highlight them, and at this moment in time I do not know in advance which one will be stronger. All I'm doing now is highlighting them, and then we'll see at the end of this video whether we'll be able to make a conclusion. If I'm not able to make a conclusion, then you just follow the tweets, because I unravel the cycles one day at a time. It's quite easy, much easier to just look at the daily behavior, because then the TA helps me as well to see what I can expect. Right, so on this level here we have 15th of December is highlighted as a possible pivot low, right, going by the historical cycles, and 30th and 19th of December is highlighted as a possible pivot low. When did we make the top? In July 2024. Not that we're on that cycle. Right, so let's just keep it simple, right? We're just gonna keep it simple until these two dates, until the 19th of December, to see whether these will manifest as local pivot lows. The 15th and the 19th are highlighted as possible bottoms in the eclipse cycle. And then we're moving to the next information that we have. So what is this given here? So on Twitter we got together with somebody called Crypto Waterman. He came up with the original idea that he discovered that in 2025 we're repeating the pivots of 2013 but in the opposite direction. And then I took it further because I want to know if I can turn that into a rule. So I investigated all the pivots in the Bitcoin cycle, and the total is 58% historical occurrence of those events where the pivot is exactly the opposite, right? And there have been occasions when the pivot is exactly the same as well, but 58% of the time the pivot was the opposite. So this is the final kind of evidence for the theory. So what is the next pivot that is forecasted? So we have a top on 21st of December 2013. So according to this theory, we will be expecting a bottom on 21st of December 2025 with 58% historical probability. Okay, remember this. So now we're highlighting another bottom. Okay, and keep in mind that it could end up being a top. It's only 58% historical probability that it will be the opposite direction. Okay, the next thing that we're going to look at is the Chinese astrology cycle. Let's see what that is forecasting in terms of the next pivots. Okay, so D8 didn't materialize as a low, which is great. Now suddenly we started invalidating bearish time frames, if you have noticed. That was actually the first invalidation of a bear expectation, that 8th of December. It was thanks to Mars square Saturn. You saw the historical probability there. Again, if you remember in the last video I said be careful with these dates, 8th and 9th of December, because they're actually making a 60-day cycle to the previous serious dumping day with the Trump tariffs that proper dumped the market on the 9th of October and 10th of October. And then I said if we manage to get away and we don't dump the market on those days, then we're heading up after that, and that is exactly what happened. We got away from those days. So what is the next pivot that we got? We got 12th of December is forecasted as a high, right? It is exactly on the same level here as 14th of August 2025. Okay, so we have 3 more days according to this. We have 3 more days to make a top according to the Chinese astrology cycle. Any other pivots at the moment? Then the 15th I have forecasted as as a bad day in Chinese astrology. Let me just confirm what that is. Right, so the next serious dumping I'm expecting to be on the 15th. And then we have a local bottom here on the 16th. On the 16th of December is equal to 17th of October local bottom, if you remember that bottom, right? So far, what are the confluences? What are the similarities? You see here 15th of December low, and then a minute ago when I showed you the solar eclipse cycle, that is pointing to 15th of December low as well. So does this cycle here contradict the Chinese astrology top that is given to be 12th of December? No, it doesn't contradict it. It has not said anything about if we scroll sideways, there is no contradiction that that top still can happen on the 12th of December, and then we make a low on the 15th of December, right? So that's the consolidation between the two cycles. And then the opposite pivots theory, 21st of December, that is a bit further down the line. There will be another video by then. Okay, so that was the forecast of the Chinese time frames, 12th of December high and 15th of December low. Yes, and since I mentioned 21st of December, look what this is forecasting, a low on the 20th of December, which is very near. The Chinese astrology is forecasting a low on 20th of December. The opposite pivots is forecasting a low on 21st of December. And the solar eclipse cycle is forecasting a low on 19th of December. So it emerges that we have very strong confluences here, that we can expect lows at that time. Between 19th to 21st of December, we're expecting lows according to these cycles. Okay, so let me have a look now in the monthly time frame forecast. I mean in the daily time frames forecast for December. Let's see what they're projecting. So this is projecting a high on the 12th of December, very high percentage probability of a green closure on 12th of December. Let's see if we got any confluences from the eclipse cycle. What the eclipse cycle is saying, that we're gonna be dumping between 12th and 15th. So isn't that a lovely confluence? Several previous cycles highlighted now the 15th to be a low, and this is exactly what this the eclipse cycle is exactly on the same page, which very rarely happens. It's saying dumping from the 12th to the 15th. So that's quite good. If you forgot what we said earlier, I know, because we're scrolling to several cycles, it's difficult to keep them in our head all the time. Just rewind the video and you will see that the 15th of December was highlighted by two previous cycles, the eclipse cycle and the Chinese astrology cycle. And here it is now, confirmation number 3 by the eclipse cycle, that this is the last date of dumping, which means that it looks like it's gonna be a bottom. In terms of the 12th of December high, that is not necessarily confirmed by the eclipse cycle. It is showing that from the 12th of December we'll be closing on a red, which can be done because normally when we have a pivot high, we do pump and dump, so it is very possible to close that on a red. And here is the confirmation for the 12th of December, that we expect it to be a high, 73% historical probability of closing on green. So these two are contradicting each other massively. One is saying 73% probability of closing on green, the other one is saying 75% probability of closing on red. So some things simply cannot be predicted in advance. But what happens is, because of backtesting cycles all the time, by the 11th of December we'll probably have a more clearer picture I will have back tested a few more aspects and I'll have a bit more clearer picture, and probably I will make a forecast about the 12th of December, around the 11th of December. Okay, and then what the gun dates are saying, the gun dates are saying that we are actually expected to make a top around 12 to 13 of December. We have several gun dates that are projecting a top on the 12th or 13th of December. The gun dates here for 8th of December were projecting a bottom on 8th of December and projecting a bottom also on 11th of December. 13 by 49 from 14th of March. Yeah, that is projecting a bottom. We'll see. At the moment, I'm not very clear about those. It seems to me that the 8th of December is invalidated now. Only the future will show whether that 8th of December served as a bottom. At the moment is too soon to make that conclusion. But what we're making the conclusion is that gun dates, I have observed them, that between 60 and 70 they tend to be bullish, and then after the 70, particularly gun date number 70 tends to be red. So I have highlighted that here. So that is another kind of confirmation that we're expecting the 15 to be a low. And here these gun dates are projecting a top, whereas the eclipse here is projecting dumping between the 12th and the 15th. So we will see how that will pan out. The eclipse cycle is saying that it will be a gradual dumping here until it reaches a bottom, and what the gun dates are saying that 1 minute we will have a top on the 12th and 13th and then a sharp dump. So there is no agreement exactly on how it will happen, but both of them agree that the 15th will be a low. And then we see what aspects we're gonna get here in the next few days. We have on the 11th of December we have 3/4 moon. 3/4 moon tend to be bullish, but given that the moon will be in Virgo and also the moon declination is heading down, I cannot be very confident about that. But I have put it in green color because in my observations the 3/4 moon tends to be bullish, and also lunar day 22 tends to be bullish. So for 11th of December, that is so far. Okay, I'm not gonna really go into making a forecast on the daily time frame at the moment. There's absolutely no need for that. Just play one day at a time at the moment. Who is squaring Rahu? Venus is squaring Rahu on 11th of December. And on 10th of December, we have Mercury opposition Uranus. That is the third one in a row. Mercury opposition Uranus. So let me just show you now what we're expecting for tomorrow. Just 1 second. Here it is. So last time, on 2 previous occasions this year, when Mercury opposed Uranus, it crashed the market every single time. It crashed it on 29th of October and it crashed it on 19th of November. And next time is happening tomorrow. Pay attention again. This time though is happening on the executive degrees, 28 degrees. So let me see what the moon will be tomorrow. Let me just check on my phone because I didn't have time to make the moon forecast on the Bitcoin daily time frames. So I just need to see what time the moon is going into Virgo. So tomorrow, the 10th of December, the moon is still in Leo, right? So in that case, we have a very strong possibility that tomorrow we're gonna have a green day. And normally when we have an aspect like that repeating itself several times because the planet has gone retrograde, first it's done it direct, then it's done it retrograde, and then it's turning direct and it's doing it again. Normally by the third time the planets should have learned that lesson, how to deal with that difficult aspect, and it should deliver a pump. It should go in the opposite direction. Okay, that is for the 10th. And then let me have a look what is happening on the 11th of December. On the 11th of December, we'll have Mercury trine Neptune. Is there any consistency there about anything? Not really. So I cannot make a forecast for the 11th right now. And then another thing we have is Venus in Sagittarius is squaring. Okay, that's the one that we saw in the chart, right? Venus in Sagittarius is squaring Rahu in Pisces. What are the scores for that? 64% probability of closing on green, the 11th. 52% probability that the trend before is up. That's quite small, almost 50-50. And then we have 64% probability that we are continuing up after that. So I'm skeptical about that right now. Let's see what happens. We do one day at a time. So my forecast for the 10th of December is that we're expecting a green closure on the 10th of December, and we'll take it from there. I just very quickly want to have a look if there is any other. Oh, okay, we have Mars 150 degree to Uranus on the 13th of December. Still, it has very high percent probability of closing on green. I'm quite surprised that is a nasty aspect. Okay, so the only forecast I would like to make right now is that the 10th of December is closing on green, and if that is the case, then the forecast that says we're topping on the 12th of December becomes activated, right? We're moving to that forecast. But if tomorrow we don't close on a green, if the 10th of December doesn't close on a green, then clearly that forecast for the top on 12th of December will end up getting invalidated. And another thing I wanted to show you is the monthly time frames forecast, that for the first time today, after 2-3 very long months, we actually got a bear invalidation. Up until now, we got tons of bull invalidations and not many bear invalidations, and finally we got a weekly time frame that invalidated a bear forecast. So here it is. Okay, so this forecast was that 21st of that 14th of December. Oh no, we're not there yet. We're not gonna discuss Venus at the moment because these are a bit awkward. This is forecasting. Ah, yes, hold on. We can use this. This Venus in Sagittarius is forecasting that 14th of December will be closing higher than 7th of December with 67% historical probability. So this is a lovely addition to our already other date that we extracted, the 12th of December, that it's looking to be a top, and this is a nice confluence for that, the Venus in Sagittarius. And now the next forecast, Mars in zodiac signs. So Mars in zodiac signs, it forecasted that 9th of December will close lower than the 2nd of December with 75% historical probability, very high probability, and it did not happen. For the first time it got invalidated. So in my opinion, look at that, 3 previous weeks this has been accurate, and suddenly inaccurate. So what is the next forecast? The next forecast is that 16th of December will be closing higher than than 9th of December. So let's see. By the way, that has happened only because 9th of December, the equivalent dates for 9th of December in the past have been lows. That's how the following week managed to get high. So take that with a pinch of salt. But what is important is that finally we managed to invalidate a bear forecast after 2-3 long months. And then Mercury in zodiac sign, Mercury is in Sagittarius. What this is forecasting is that the 10th is expected to be higher than the 3rd of December, and we got only one more day for that. So we will see this. This has been a top on many occasions before this particular week, right? On many previous occasions. And this is it for today, everybody. So yes, there is one more cycle that we can check, and that is Saturn retrograde cycle is forecasting the 13th of December will be closing higher than 13th of November with 57% historical probability. So let's have a look here. 13th of December to close higher than 13th of November. Oh, that is very high. That is crazy how low we have dumped in November. Absolutely insane. 13th of December. Wow, I really don't know how that will be achieved. Given that tomorrow, the 10th of December, is the last day of moon in Leo. After that, we're reasonable to expect some dumping when the moon is in Virgo. So for that to happen, to close 13th of December higher than 13th of November, we need some very serious pumping. We need to pump with 10K to get there. Highly unlikely to happen, but we will see. That is the forecast, right? And then Chiron is for a bit later date, 30th of December. So I'm leaving it now. And if you have any confusion about the dates, just scroll up to the beginning of the video and check the cycles again. We have to do that at the moment. It's very murky waters. I no longer trust any of the cycles to say, oh, well, that was a dominating cycle and I go along with that, because all of those cycles let me down in October and November. So from now on, that is how I work. I review the cycles every single day, what dates they're projecting, and then I check what is happening during the day, and then I navigate myself like that from one day to the next. So I will be back in touch with you very soon. Let's just see now whether we're gonna go higher on the 10th. We should be going higher on the 10th of December. Bye for now.